All right, so let me preface the video by saying I do not condone anabolic steroid use. I haven't taken steroids in many years, and this is simply going over my experience with everything and how I felt on halotestin, also known as fluoxymesterone. So I took this probably 8 times or so before powerlifting meets over the years, and whether or not it was always real halo or not, I can't be 100% sure, but I know towards the back end of my career, it was definitely real halotestin. So I'll kind of dive into it here as far as everything I felt. You can read profiles about it online. Obviously, it's ranked as extremely anabolic and androgenic compared to testosterone, even more so than Tren. So what's interesting about halotestin is if you look at the, I believe, androgenic rating, it's like over 1,000, maybe 1,500, whereas with Tren, it's 500. But I will say that halotestin, in my opinion, is not anywhere near as strong as Tren as far as the gains and everything else that accompanies it. Halotestin, it is going to lead to some pretty good strength gains, but I would still rank it, and I've done these rankings before, and I kept forgetting about Halo. So I would rank Tren as the number one anabolic steroid that's going to get you stronger. For me, Anavar, number 2. Number 3, Superdrol. And then I would put Halo as 4, with D-ball being 5. So originally I was saying D-ball 4, but I would put Halo at 4. A little more potent than D-ball and Anadrol, in my opinion. So Anadrol would be 6. So halotestin, I don't think it's on the level of Superdrol. At least for me, it wasn't. Definitely not on the level of Anavar, and definitely not on the level of Tren. And a lot of people might be surprised by that. So while I did yield good strength gains with it, it would rank number 4 out of everything I've taken as far as the strength gains overall. It just, as comparing it to Tren, like I said, a lot of people think that extreme anabolic and androgenic rating makes it to where it's going to be very powerful, but it just doesn't hit quite the same as Tren. Tren gives you that 24/7 paranoia, aggression, just instability, irritability. I didn't get that as much on Halo. So on halotestin, I would get irritable, but there wasn't the paranoia. There wasn't the extreme mental changes like on Tren. I didn't notice Halo changing my personality to the extent that Tren did. It would just make me more irritable and a little more aggressive. So the aggression definitely ramped up a little bit on Halo. And I think a big part of that is your blood pressure gets so high on Halo. I definitely noticed huge spikes in my blood pressure, which I think also is one of the things you're going to see with the higher aggression. So the steroids that give you more aggression, you're tending to get more extreme swings in your health as far as blood pressure, resting heart rate, that sort of thing. So definitely not like Tren aggression. Tren aggression is a 24/7 thing that just never goes away. And you literally feel like your mental state is changed. Whereas with Halo, it's more of a mild effect. But then on the other hand, I've heard of other guys saying Halo hits them way harder than Tren as far as the side effects and the aggression and anger. So I'm sure I'll get some guys in the comments who have experienced that to where Halo hit them way harder than Tren. And I was always hoping for that, where I would feel this crazy impact, and it just never was the case, even at higher dosages with Halo. So it's rumored that, there's been a few things. When Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear, it's been rumored that it was halotestin. Check drops I've heard methyl test. So I've heard 3 different things. I don't know which it was, but all of those will lead to a substantial increase in aggression. So don't get me wrong, halotestin is going to, lead to aggression and irritability and all that, but just for me, not on the level of Tren. Now the dosing, I did between 20 and 40 milligrams a day, which 40 milligrams a day is insane. Nobody should be doing that. That was a huge mistake, and I'll get into that in a second. But I did it for about 4 weeks total, 3 to 4 weeks going into a meet. It'd kind of be my finisher to really ramp up my strength at the very end of a meet prep and get as strong as possible. So I typically would start with 2 weeks of 20 milligrams a day, where I would do 10 milligrams in the morning, 10 milligrams in the evening. So you would split the dose up to better cover the half-life. And then I would go up to 40, where I would do 20 milligrams morning, 20 milligrams evening for the last 2 weeks. And I would take this, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks tops, just as a finisher. Obviously, it's going to ramp up your blood pressure big time. It's going to jack up your heart rate, your resting heart rate. It's going to jack up your liver enzymes significantly, upwards of, into the 100 range for ALT and AST. And even for some guys, 200s, 300s. This is a very liver toxic steroid. In fact, I would say the most liver toxic steroid I touched outside of like check drops, which you take once in a blue moon, which I'll make a video about because it was such an interesting experience later on. But this was the most liver toxic oral steroid that I used, hands down. More liver toxic, I felt like, than Superdrol, definitely than Anadrol, definitely than D-ball, just on a whole different level. And I'll break into this in a sec here, where 20 milligrams, you can feel it. You can feel it hitting. At 40, it's almost intolerable. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I know what I was thinking. I was trying to deadlift 900 pounds in a meet, so I went to some very extreme measures. But 40 milligrams, nobody should be doing that. That's ridiculous. 30 would even be hard to handle. I'd say 20 is about the proper dose. 40, at 40, it was insane, guys. Like I would take 20 milligrams in the morning, and within about 30 minutes, I would get hit with this extreme nausea, these waves of nausea, to where if I would try to sit up, I would have to lay down on a couch. If I would try to sit up, I would feel like I was going to throw up. And I never actually threw up, but the nausea was so bad, it was impossible to eat. And just sitting up, I would feel like very, very nauseous, awful. It was awful. And the headaches would hit me like within 30 to 45 minutes. I would get these extreme headaches because your blood pressure's got to be insane, probably 180 blood pressure just doing nothing, which is absolutely incredible. So the headaches and the nausea were out of this world on Halo at 40 milligrams. It got to the point where after 5 days of doing that, I was like, I can't do this. And I would have to drop my dose to 20, 30. So 40 was unsustainable on real Halo. Now, there were some meet preps, early on in my career where I would take Halo and I'd be very underwhelmed by it. But I don't know about the legitimacy of the Halo. That's one of the things you got to be careful about with drugs like Halotest and Anavar. You don't know if they're real. A lot of times these are faked compounds. Primobolin's another one. Those are the most commonly faked compounds, are Primobolin, Halotestin, and Anavar. And Halotestin was the most expensive steroid I could get outside of Primobolin. I think Halotestin was about, for 50 pills, $140, $130, whereas Anavar was like 80. So out of the expense list, Halotestin was the most expensive, and then Primobolin, and then Anavar, which is why Halotestin was faked quite a bit. And I do know I was getting legitimate Halotestin towards the back end when I had my sponsorship for anabolics. So this was top end stuff, and it just was so incredibly liver toxic. And you got to factor in that I was also taking Tudka, 600 milligrams a day, and N-acetylcysteine, 600 milligrams a day, to clear out my bile ducts and to just help protect the liver. And even with those, the liver toxicity blew me away. So this stuff does not play around at higher dosage, which is why 20 milligrams was probably the sweet spot. And I just thought, let me try 40. I can go crazy here to try to hit some crazy PRs. So this stuff, like I said, not my favorite, but it's strong. It's going to get you strong, maybe not on the level of Tren, but other guys I've heard have incredible strength gains on it. And then there's even others who like Anadrol more than this. But it comes with a lot of sides. You're going to be a little meaner, just, going about your everyday business, a little less intolerant. You're not going to want to be around people too much, similar to Tren, but definitely not at the level of Tren. Like I said, it's not going to completely alter your mind like Tren. I've heard of it doing that with some people, but that was never the case for me. And the liver toxicity, as far as the nausea and the headaches and all that, was incredible. So I had to know that my liver was getting absolutely smoked on this stuff. But it was, it was the price I was trying to pay to get stronger. And I was wicked strong at one point when I was stacking this with, that's the other thing I should say. I tried to stack it at certain times with low dose Anavar, 25 mgs, and it was impossible. Like, you can't stack this stuff with other orals because it's so liver toxic that there's just no way it's possible. Anavar was much friendlier, which I'll get into later on as well in a different video. But I have a video where I pulled 848, which is 848 pounds. It was, 380 kg or something like that, 385 kilos. And I'll put that video up, and it just flew up. The speed was insane. And you'll see how kind of dark my complexion is because my blood pressure is so high. And I was about 250 pounds in the video. But 848 has never moved like that. It was an incredibly easy lift. And I took this stuff going into a meet where I tried for an 882-pound deadlift, 400 kilos, but my hand ripped open, so I kept tearing my calluses. But this obviously got me to some of my best strength ever without Tren. So even without Tren, just taking test, Halo, MPP, I was pulling pretty much close to 900 pounds. And also the meet where I tried the 900, got it to my knees, I was on Halo as well. So I fell short of getting to 900. I think if it would have been stacked with Tren, it would have been game over. But this stuff does yield some pretty big strength gains. And it's no joke. So if you guys like the video, I'm going to keep the series going. We'll have another one next week. Give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe.